In 1941, the first ever television commercial aired before a Brooklyn Dodgers game on NBC. So as we come up on the 82nd anniversary of that particular event, how should we look at television commercials in a 2023 context? Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of Theory of Why. My name is Rob Johnson. So on today's show, I want to keep it kind of brief, a really quick episode just to talk a little bit about video efficacy and how we should be looking at video production in 2023. And what I thought would be helpful is to look back at a few of my favorite commercials throughout the years, what made them successful, and why I think those types of things are still relevant in today's environment. So what I've found in marketing is I've done this for almost 10 years now in whether it's website design or podcast production. I've found the same elements that have always been successful carry through mediums. And what I mean by that is things that worked really well on radio work really well on television. Things that work well on television work well on social media. Things that work well on social media work well on podcasts. There's these universal themes that we have that I think really can carry a particular show or medium through different eras. And that's why I think brands that are 100 plus years old have been so successful, is because they've always stayed true to their core of who they are. And that's always shown through no matter what type of medium they're on. So when I talk about television commercials, obviously 1941, this is a Belova. It's a watch company. If you go on YouTube, you can check it out. It's a 10-second commercial. It's literally just I believe it's a circular logo of the company over a map of the United States. It's in black and white. I will put up a little bit of a graphic of it here, but you can see the full 10-second commercial. It's nothing to write home about, but in my estimation, it's the first one. There's always debates and whatnot over who actually was the first. But in 1941, that seems to me to be the first actual commercial before the televised baseball game. So what makes a good commercial? To me, what makes a really successful campaign is authenticity. It's the audience being able to relate to what's going on. And it's also something that is both timely while also being timeless. And this first example that I have is probably my favorite commercial of all time, mainly because Coca-Cola was able to do something in a particular time that spoke to not only the era that the commercial was produced in, but it also spoke to a much bigger event that was happening across the world and is still an issue that we're contending with today. So, Johnny, go ahead and pull up the 1971 Coke ad, if you don't mind.
I'd like to buy the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white turtle doves. I'd like to teach the world to sing. Sing with me. Perfect harmony. Perfect harmony. I'd like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company. That's the real thing. I'd like to teach the world to sing. In perfect harmony. Perfectly. And I'd like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company. It's the real thing. What the world wants today is the real thing. What the world wants today is the real thing.
So what I've always found interesting about this ad is the time that it came out. So this was shot in Rome in 1971. And what was happening in 1971? Well, the Vietnam War was nearing its end. You had race tensions in America were at an all-time high at the end of the 60s and spilling over into the 70s, obviously. So you had all of these different world conflicts that were taking place, and Coke did an ad that featured a diverse group of young people talking about harmonization. And obviously the product placement is the center of the ad, with it being Coke. But what made that so successful and why this ad is consistently on people's top 10 lists is because there's never been an ad like that before. There's never been something that had that large of a global statement while also being incredibly diverse with the talent. And it was exceptionally timely, and it stretches into being timeless because those messages are still just as relevant now. You look at, the conflicts that's happening between Ukraine and Russia, and, the world conflicts that we have right now. Like, that message of harmonization and people needing to chill out a little bit and peace needing to be a major factor in our relations now, that is still just as important in 2023 as it was in 1971. And the other thing too is one thing that I really like about Stan Lee, who's a comic book creator, obviously for Marvel. Every single superhero that you care about in Marvel, he was probably the creator of. And one thing that he had said was that what's nice about writing and drawing is that you have all of this, you have everyone's different perspective. They can look at a character in a certain way and they can imagine themselves in that character. It can be written for them, even though it wasn't written for them. And he always wrote with the idea that every comic book is someone's first comic book. So he wanted to have that universal appeal to where it could apply to everyone. And in advertising, it's a very similar thing. You want to have universal appeal so people can feel like that was written for them. And I think Coke hit it out of the park here with that particular ad. Have you seen that ad before, Johnny?
Yeah, I've seen that 1,000 times. I can remember that playing on TV all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I missed that. Era, what did you think about the commercial the first time you saw it or the first time you remember having a thought on it?
Well, it's kind of funny. It's kind of makes you think of the We Are the World thing too,
Yeah.
right? Kind of a respin on that.
Yeah.
Almost like, bringing in, but I was a house of Pepsi drinkers when I grew up. Right. So it was
so
like,
you're like, not in this house, turn it off.
It was like the anti-juice, right? It was like,
That's hilarious. Yeah, you're still a Pepsi guy.
I'm still a Pepsi guy, yeah.
Still a Pepsi guy. That's all right. We can still be friends. All right. So Coke did something that I thought was just phenomenal. And obviously Coca-Cola, when you look at companies that are tremendous at advertising, obviously their Christmas campaigns, Polar Bear, Santa Claus, Coca-Cola is a company of masterclass when it comes to advertising and campaigns. That's why they're the most successful cola in the world, and they've done a tremendous job at advertising and keeping their brand in the forefront of people's minds. And we'll just ignore the new Coke campaign in the 80s that lasted for like 80 days or something. We'll skip over that. But Coke, on the net has been incredibly successful when it comes to advertising. The next ad that I want to talk about is what I would call a cultural shift in the context of creating an ad that does not fit into the product, that doesn't necessarily display the product, that doesn't talk about the benefits of the product, but it gets people talking about the product, even though it's not really mentioned until the end of it. So this is from 1984. This is Apple's George Orwell commercial that aired during the Super Bowl. So Johnny, go ahead and pull that one up. Let's take a look at that.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests, obeying contradictory thoughts. Our unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people. One will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
Have you seen that one before, Johnny?
That one I have not seen before.
Okay. That is that is a very culturally impactful commercial just because Apple was releasing the Macintosh in 1984, but that commercial literally said nothing about the computer. And the purpose of that commercial was to drive conversations about what people saw. It's almost a short film in a commercial. And it was, to me, like when I listened to what Steve Jobs had to say about producing that particular commercial, they did it with the intention of setting Apple apart from other computer companies and making them more rebellious, making them more kind of the innovative, kind of that cool Silicon Valley feel before Silicon Valley, and this was again in 1984. So, and then they tied it into that George Orwellian, you're going to see why 1984 isn't going to be like 1984. So it was a tremendously successful commercial in terms of the reception of it. I wish the Macintosh in 1984 was as successful as the commercial. And this aired during the 1984 Super Bowl, a tremendous advertising spot for them. And it was just a very unique way to approach advertising. And while the commercial didn't translate to the product sales that Apple wanted for that particular product, it certainly contributed to the culture of how we film commercials now and what we do in terms of really just having a different point of view or a different perspective when it comes to filming a commercial. And you see this all the time now with, truck commercials. Like I remember, I forget how long ago it was, but it's like an apocalypse and there's zombies. And this is like in the height of The Walking Dead. And then, a Ford truck, drives out of the rubble, or a Chevy truck or whatever. So you see this all the time with it being a very long story that has very little to do with the product and then the product being revealed at the end.
To me, I got that sense of kind of almost like propaganda, super big propaganda dictatorship right out of there. Like, this is what you're going to have, right? I'm not so sure why I felt that way out of that.
Yeah, it's and that's what's cool about this commercial is people would go in there and they would have these discussions. How did it make you feel? And the whole point of this is to get a response from people, whether it's positive or whether it's negative. People are going to be talking about it, and it's going to give them a different. Everyone's gonna have a different opinion on it, and it's going to generate buzz around this product. And because the product didn't match the level of the commercial, that's why it didn't sell as well. But nonetheless, again, this is a top 10 commercial of all time. The last commercial I want to talk about varies a little bit. And this was a commercial that was originally released on YouTube. And it was for a company that started as an online-only company. They sold on their website directly, and then now they're in stores. They have retail distribution now that they're a little bit bigger. And I'm using the word a little bit in a bit of a tongue-in-cheek way, because this company's a massive soap company. They're called Dr. Squatch. And they did something that I thought was very inventive, in that when you watch this commercial, you're going to see it is absolutely a soap commercial, no two ways about it, but it's very much in your face. It's very aggressive, and it's very honest. And let's play for that for a little bit. It's like a 3.5 minute commercial. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but let's take a look at that, Johnny.
Listen up. The soap you shower with, it's you probably haven't even questioned what bar of soap you lather up with. Let's face it, most guys don't. They're still using whatever bar their mommy bought for her little man. Is that what you want? To smell like mama's little man? Ugh. But now you can upgrade your shower game with Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. I'm talking about natural, nourishing, cold-pressed, hand-cut soap for men. Men who use their hands. Men who build things. Men who open the pickle jar on the first try. Men who catch foul balls without spilling their beer. You won't just smell good either. Your skin will be healthier and more nourished. Dare I say, soft. Oh, men aren't supposed to have soft skin? Yeah, well, men weren't supposed to cry during movies. And then they made the movie Rudy. He's so little. You want to smell like the forest? Boom, pine tar, we've got you. You want to smell like the sea? Boom, nautical sage, we've got you. You want to smell like you just got off a boat in the Caribbean? Boom, bay rum, we've got you. And with 6 more cents, we've got you covered no matter what kind of man you are.
So, Johnny, again, is that your first time seeing that one?
before you even say that, I should just give a hell yeah. Right.
You like that one?
Yeah, I have seen that commercial before,
Okay.
and I think probably when I first seen it the first time I did, I think I said the same thing. Hell yeah.
Yeah. It's a great commercial, and what makes it great is how in your face it is, how honest it is, and it's funny. There's comedic elements, and they're also selling a product, and it's almost like after, for me, like I don't know how long of that clip we played, if it was over a minute, but it felt shorter than the first two clips we watched, and we probably played more than a minute. Did you see how long we played it? If not, that's fine. I was just
I think it was just about a minute, right? And that whole thing is about 3 minutes, that clip.
Yeah.
But it felt, to me, it felt like I wanted to be part of that, right?
Yeah.
That's what drew me in, right? I want to be the manly man. I want to have the working hands. I want it, right? That just appealed to me, right? So targeted audience, but again, a big hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you're watching it, you feel like you're watching a story, you're watching an arc, and you forget that it's an advertisement until you get to the end and you're like, wow, I want that. I want to be a part of that brand or that culture. And that's why good branding and good advertising matters, is because that's how you get drafted into something. That's how you get wrapped up into a particular brand. So then once they sold soaps, now they sell shampoo, now they sell cologne, now they have these different products. And if you loved the soap, you're probably going to love the cologne. You're probably going to love the shampoo or the beard wash, whatever it is. They have this way of marketing that captures people, that they want to be a part of, that club, that membership. And when you have that type of an identity and people are grafted into it, they feel a lot more confident about being a part of that particular thing, because they believe in it so much. They believe in the efficacy of it. They believe that the product's great. Now, if Dr. Squatch produced terrible soap and it smelled like crap, like, the marketing can be as great as you want, but if the product doesn't match the marketing, it's not going to be successful. But where they've had success is the product that they've offered matches the marketing and in some respects exceeds it. And that's why now they're in retail distribution, and they're just a massive, massive company. And it started with a really great product and a really great campaign. And when you can marry those two things together, you can find a lot of success. You can look at Dollar Shave Club. They're another company that has had tremendous online success and great marketing campaigns. And they're another company that's exploded. There's just a ton of online companies that you can review, and you can see how their great product and their great marketing can come together and produce something really cool. So all of that to say, when we look at video marketing commercials in 2023, what matters is what mattered 82 years ago. And if we're going back to 1971, what matters is the story. Are you capturing people into the message so they can feel like they're a part of what they are buying? Do they feel like they're in the club? Do they have a membership to what it is you're purchasing? And if you can do that, and that's kind of the trick of marketing, can you make that happen? And if you can, then you're going to have very long-term success, because if Facebook goes away tomorrow, if Instagram goes away tomorrow, whatever that next platform is, that message will translate to that medium, because it's been able to go through television and social media and YouTube and podcasting. And that messaging is always going to be the same. It's just going to be presented in a different format. And when you can capture that, when you can explain to people the value proposition in a way that makes them want to be a part of it, then you've unlocked the key to success for marketing and advertising the business. And that's just one layer of building a great company. Because on the back end of Dr. Squatch, what you also need is logistics, manufacturing, supply chain, shipping and receiving. All of these things matter to the company. So advertising can be one thing, but when those orders start coming through the door and your systems are tested, what does that look like? What does client retention, customer retention look like? Employee retention. So there's multiple layers to the company. So by no means does a marketing campaign mean you are now automatically successful, because there's a lot of organizational development that's going to go in the back end to ensure that you're turning around those things for clients. And that's what makes a great business. All of those pieces coming together in a unified way to serve the client and to serve the employees as well. So hopefully that's helpful. I wanted to do a short episode today, just to kind of take you through 3 of my favorite commercials. So you can obviously go online, check them out. I'd encourage you to finish watching the Dr. Squatch one online. It's tremendous. But yeah, well, let me know what you think. What are your favorite commercials? What makes a commercial successful for you? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Catch you on the next one. Take care.